Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:07 on WMAL. Good Friday morning to you. Brian Neiman. I'm back here in D.C. Made the trip home yesterday. Wilson's still down in Tampa for the RNC. Saw the big speech last night from Governor Mitt Romney. And KT McFarland's on the line, Fox News national security analyst. But KT knows politics very, very, very well. And so we want to get your political take, KT, first off, on how you think the convention as a whole went, and what about Governor Romney's speech last night?
I thought the convention was a little boring, but I thought last night was fantastic, and I thought the night before was fantastic when Paul Ryan spoke. And you saw, in addition to that, you saw the amazing bench strength of the Republican Party. You know, the Democrats talk about their great appeal to Hispanics and African Americans and women and yada, 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 but they don't have anybody to show for it. The Republicans don't talk about it too much, but if you saw one after another really impressive governors, you know, women, Hispanics, African Americans, and you thought, wow, I didn't know those guys were supposed to be Republicans. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was very, very impressive as far as showing the direction the Republican Party intends to take going forward. But last night, I must say, and I'm a hard-bitten old lady, and I was really very moved by the stories of the people that the Romneys had helped. And I've been in administrations, I've been up close and personal to a number of American presidents, worked in the White House during the dark days of Watergate. I've known every American candidate for president, especially in the Republican Party, for 30 years. I've got to tell you, the only thing that really matters in the end is character. Because you don't know what you're going to confront when you're in the White House. You don't know if September 11th is going to happen. You don't know if the Wall Street meltdown is going to happen. And so you have to really look at the character of the individual, much more than when they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. What's their character? And what you saw last night was a Romney who doesn't brag about all the good deeds he does, who has done them, and not, when he didn't have anything else to do. He did these good deeds when he had a lot of other pressures on him, and he could have easily just written a check, but he was there with the young boy who was dying. He was there with the woman whose daughter was born prematurely. That stuff, to me, says so much more than I'm going to cut taxes, I'm going to raise taxes. And then who do you compare that to? I mean, what's, the Barack Obama character? Here's a guy who wrote a bunch of books about himself. And so, to me, one guy gives, the other guy talks about himself. At the end of the day, character for me is the one reason I cast that ballot for president, and Romney won my vote last night.
I agree with you about the testimonials. I thought they were probably the most powerful thing. Here's what I'm curious about is I watched it on Fox News because I like to see my old friends over there and see how they're handling it. And I noticed they broke away for a while, then went back to that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what the other networks were doing during
I was watching the other network just because I flip around. And I wanted to see sort of how the different networks were responding to those very personal stories. And I found MSNBC, they're so snarky. I mean, they were sort of making fun of things.
But did they run the testimonials? Did they go to them?
I can't
That's
remember
the question. Because I think that was the most powerful part of the night.
I thought
but the question is, were people roadblocked from seeing it because the various news outlets didn't go to that? I mean, a lot of times they were breaking away for other analysis when I really wanted to hear what those people had to say. But back to national security, if I could, for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
To me, the most powerful speech that I heard was Condoleezza Rice, who gave, I think, a very powerful speech that talks about America's unique position in the world and how it has, there is a vacuum in the world right now, and that if America doesn't step in and try to fill that vacuum, that the vacuum will be filled by other people who do not share our values, and that America is an exceptional country. She really spoke on the theme of American exceptionalism. I thought that was a really powerful speech. What did you think?
Yeah, and she also made the point that if we cede that, and it's a choice if we give up that leadership role and others come in to take it and fill the vacuum, and they'll be bad guys and they won't have our interests. But she said even worse is when nobody fills it. And then you have a lawless world where there are no rules of the road, where it's every country for himself. And so I thought that was really significant, what she said, but I was even more interested in the reaction of the audience. Convention speeches are supposed to be a bunch of one-liners of red meat throwing it to the audience. They're not supposed to be thoughtful, cerebral, high-tone speeches, and yet everyone was listening to her, and what that told me about America right now, we're ready for an adult conversation. None of this sort of going forward of, the golden rule of politics, don't ask, don't tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask about the really big problems we face and don't talk about them. Well, America's ready for that adult conversation. I don't think the people in the Beltway are ready for it, and I don't think the people in the mainstream media are ready for it. But the average American has had that adult conversation at home. They've got the kids who have moved back into their childhood bedroom looking at the fading pictures of Obama. They've got the student loans. They don't have the jobs. Your health care has been taken away. Your company, especially your small business, has dropped your health care. The mortgage on your house you pay more than the house is worth. And so America has had those conversations. It's Washington that is still looking like the gold rush, flush with tax dollars, and they're still living it high off the hog. So for Washington, that notion of talking seriously about issues that are really tough, Washington doesn't get it yet. But to me, watching those people in the hall, coming from all parts of the country, listening with rapt attention at what was otherwise a pretty wonky foreign policy speech, they're ready for the adult conversation. And so what that means is Paul Ryan and Romney might be right.
All right. I want to ask you about this Navy SEAL book. And now the Pentagon is thinking about maybe going after him. Did he break a non-disclosure agreement? I talked to Peter King about this down at the convention. He's very concerned about it. What do you think? Did this guy do the right thing writing this book?
Context is everything. No, he didn't do the right thing in writing this book, but he did the right thing in writing this book after the administration just shamelessly dumped troves and troves of highly classified information on the public in order to make the president look like a big, strong, tough commander-in-chief. So in the light of that, if the Pentagon thinks they're going to go after a Navy SEAL, a war hero who's gotten just about every award known to man, and go after him when they've got a bunch of people in the White House who have never served in the military, who can't wait to brag about the military, reveal military secrets, and put people's lives in danger in order to get a few more votes in November. Good luck, but I think that's a stink bomb.
All right, and I know you were moderator for a foreign policy panel at the convention. What was the overarching, thoughts about where we are right now with national security?
Oh, I think I moderated the main foreign policy panel for the Republican National Committee in the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, and it was the people who are advising the Romney administration. Where do they think it goes? And I think one after another they harped on the same themes, including Condi Rice, who also spoke these same things, that America has to resume the leadership role in the world, that if we don't, nobody does, or bad guys do, and that to be firm, to continue to reverse this sort of driftless position we've been in for the last 4 years, where we're mean to our friends and we're friendly to our enemies, and we're getting nothing for it in any case.
All right, KT, it's always great to have you on. Thanks very much. We appreciate it. KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst.